Alrighty.
Hey,
Well, he's the
yeah,
man of many bands and many appearances together. You were on the show last year with Inner Strength Check podcast, back again. May as well be a co-host at this stage. I am just as nervous as last time, but just as grateful. Joining me today is Bjorn Speed Strid of Soilwork and the Night Flight Orchestra. Bjorn, how are you going?
doing very well, thank you. How are you? It's good to be
Yeah.
back.
Great, great. Yeah. Well, you'll soon be back on our shores.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How are you
Super
feeling about the
excited.
Australian tour?
Really great. Who would have thought that we would come to Australia to begin with 2 years ago with this band, and now we're coming back. So I hope this it's becoming a bit of a tradition,
It's
and we will, yeah, already have that kind of tradition with Soilwork over the years, and now we have the Night Flight Orchestra as well. Yeah, super fun. I'm really grateful that I'm able to, have two bands in different genres that I get to come to Australia with. So it's really
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So much so that there's a certain song on your new record titled
Mm.
Melbourne May I. Is that an
Yeah,
Australian reference?
it might be, yes.
It might be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's yeah, no, I had to write something about it because, we were, we did that tour and that was real special going to Australia with the Night Flight Orchestra for the first time. And on the way
Mm,
there, we connected in Doha in Qatar, and I got a phone call from my mom, and she did some tests and found out that she had breast cancer. So that was really tough to get that kind of call on the
yeah.
way to the other side of the world.
Mm,
So a lot of thoughts, obviously, and so I had to keep it together through that tour. And that being said, I mean the crowds were absolutely amazing, and the band, it's always such a great vibe within this band, and so it really felt like I was surrounded by family, with the
yeah.
crowd and the band. I felt right at home, even though it was on the other side of the world. And obviously, I've been at that point like 10 times before to Australia, and that was my 11th time. And
Mm,
and so and things kind of culminated in Melbourne, where we had a just an amazing show, and the vibe was just electric. There was something about it, and then after the show, I kind of broke down a bit after
oh, yeah,
keeping it
yeah.
together, and
Mm,
it was a beautiful moment, and I felt that everything was going to be fine, and yeah, I had to write something about it, so that's where it happened. Yeah.
awesome. Take that,
Mm.
Sydney.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Well, I
as,
mean,
as
yeah, I know.
as
I mean,
someone
hopefully people
who,
are not pissed off that I'm writing just a song to Melbourne, but
yeah.
I think that crowd deserved something, special, and I have a special relation to Australia in general. But
Mm,
yeah, there's been yeah, it was a special moment.
mm.
Mm.
Were
Yeah,
there any other really, that sounds like a really key pivotal moment for you, and it like obviously
mm.
coincided with a lot of stuff going on for you emotionally, a lot of highs, a lot of lows
Yeah,
at the same time. Was
yeah,
there any
yeah,
other
yeah.
sort of moments that stood out for you across the tour elsewhere last time you guys were here in Australia?
It was just like reliving how he was coming to Australia for the first time through the other members, because none of them,
Mm,
I think, wait, I think, yeah, Rasmus had been with Soilwork to Australia or not. I'm trying to remember.
mm,
Anyways, it was really, kind of living that moment all over again through the other
mm,
members. It was
mm.
fantastic to see that, and so that was real special. And you know, and I was gonna say, coming back to my mom, she's fine. Everything,
Yeah,
is fine. So
I'm glad to hear
I'm
that.
glad that the ended well. Knock, knock, knock. And yeah,
Mm,
it's scary stuff.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, but it was a good tour. I felt that I could, know, I could keep it together with the support with from band members, and to see their joy, and
yeah.
that definitely affected me as well, and um the crowds as well.
Mm,
Fantastic.
mm. So how do
Mm,
you, I guess I've got a few questions here. I run a little Facebook community called Musa Legion. There's a website for it. And a few of the admins, a few of the members have got some questions. I thought since we're interviewing again, I'd get some community input. And I've had someone ask
mm,
actually around that for you,
mm,
with the dynamic between Soilwork and Night Flight Orchestra. What's the sort of
mm,
feelings that you get playing for both bands? Like, is it similar? I mean, there's a lot of sort of joy and elation
mm.
that I imagine comes with Night Flight Orchestra. How does that compare to, say, fronting Soilwork in a live setting?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. Well, I mean, first of all, Soilwork has been a part of my life since I was like 17 years old.
Mm,
Um, and now I'm going 47.
mm.
So
You
so
don't look it.
it's been a minute. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
it's yeah, that's a long journey. And so I think it's and night flight is something that became sort of like a calling that I started, the idea was born in 2007, but the band came together in sort of 2010 to jam, and it was something that I needed to do. That was sort of like a calling. I needed to explore other things, and musically, soul work, I would say, um, a bit more in a cage musically,
Right.
but
Yeah.
that is something that I actually enjoy. So don't get me wrong. It's like
Yeah.
it's in that cage, and I can do what, and I have these ingredients that I can, that I can still develop something interesting from.
Mm,
But with Night Flight, it's sort of like an open field where sort of anything goes, and I can do, in many situations, it's like we ask ourselves, can we really do that? It's like, yeah, of course we can. It's the Night Flight Orchestra, So
mm,
I think there's that is a kick in itself, and that doesn't mean that it's always going to turn into something fantastic, but quite often it does. I'd like to think so, at least. But performing live with these two bands, I think it's with Soulwork, it kind of connects to my teens
mm,
in a way, because I started the band when I was a teenager, and some of those
mm.
old songs it's more like it's from a different time,
Yeah.
and maybe emotionally sometimes it's kind of hard to connect because you're not the same person,
Mm,
but it also brings you back, and you also love performing the songs, and you can tell that it makes people happy, and also really connect emotionally. So there's an
mm.
exchange there.
Yeah. And that would be, I'm guessing that's universal between the two. I mean, that's basically the shared
Yeah,
experience of music, especially live, right?
yeah, and I mean, in Night Flight Orchestra, I guess it's a bit more of a, you enter sort of like a persona, and obviously with the outfits and the expression, it's sort of like, um yeah, it's like a full concept, that we
Mm,
have with that band, and there's really no limits to what you can do.
mm,
And that is pretty cool, and that's something you can work on a lot. But
mm.
I guess it's a bit more, even though both bands represent me as a person in a really good way. I think maybe entering going on stage with the Night Flight Orchestra is a bit more of a show, but I mean, I'm super connected to what
Yeah.
I'm doing there as well,
Mm, mm, mm,
and it's a really great kick, and it's very sincere. It's not
mm.
it's not a joke. It's not. I mean, we have the gimmicks, we have the tongue in cheek stuff, but I think the balance is just perfect.
Yeah. On
So
that note
it's
too,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, sorry,
Mm.
you go.
Mm. No, 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 no. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain the difference, but that's sort of how I feel
Sure.
with both of the bands. But
Mm,
they both mean a lot to me.
mm. On that note around being taken seriously, do you find that because Give Us the Moon is your seventh LP with Night Flight, you guys have been around since 2010s. Have you noticed a shift in attitudes towards the band generally, like say press or it just in general? Because I could see how maybe some people would think, oh, okay, this is Bjorn's like little gimmick side project, but it's
Yeah,
obviously evolved into a lot more than that over time. And
yeah,
as you said, with sincerity too. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it was never like a gimmick band or, I mean, sure, it started like a little bit of an experiment because I
Mm,
wanted to sort of go off it a little bit on a venture and see what, can I pull something like that off? And I immediately felt that I could, and I felt that it was something that I've been longing for a long time, and um, when we got together to jam for the first time, something really special happened there, and
mm,
it didn't take long before we felt like, oh, we need to share this with the world. I want to share this with everything. This is the greatest feeling, and I want people to feel that as well. So it didn't take long before it got serious. That being said, I mean, I wanted it to be, I wanted it to be something special. And I wanted to provide something that I didn't hear or saw out there, and
yeah.
that's why we also worked on a concept. There was no master plan. There's a lot of things that grew organically through the years with the concept. Um,
Yeah.
but I wanted it to be a show that I wanted to witness myself as,
Mm,
if I was going to see a rock show, a great rock
mm,
show. And that's when I wanted to have backup singers as well, because you don't really see that out there in the same way
mm.
anymore. And like a real rock show, the way it was meant to be, but higher than life and um, uh, sort of uh, with a full concept and great songs.
Yeah. And they are
That
great songs.
should not have any boundaries, that we could even
Mm,
move between genres and still sound like the same band. And I think
mm,
that's something that we've accomplished with this band. And I think a lot of fans and I guess press as well recognize that it's something you don't do like that. It's not a vanity project. It's so much more than that. It's like something that runs pretty deep, despite
mm.
if there's gimmicks, or if I'm wearing a glittery cape and a beret. It runs deeper, and it's very like multi-layered. So I think that's why people have really respected it, that they
Yeah.
feel that it's sincere,
Mm,
that
mm.
they can feel the presence. It's not like a bunch of metal guys getting together and like, oh, look at us, we can sound like Foreigner in 1978. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not saying that we are, but you know what I mean. It's yeah,
Mm.
you get what I'm
So
saying.
I think the other thing too, you've mentioned in other interviews that I've read or watched recently that a lot of your writing happens on planes, like when you're flying,
Yeah.
and you've obviously got a penchant for adventure and traveling. Do you feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a bit of a link there between um, Night Flight Orchestra being open-ended and creative, and it seems like there might be a link there with aviation in general as a theme. Like that's your space to kind of be creative and express yourself.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I guess it comes with the escapism as well. So I'm kind of on or off. I also sometimes kind of hate traveling. I
Yeah,
just want to be home and do
yeah,
nothing,
yeah,
which is also a challenge, because once I'm there and I have this day where I'm going to do nothing, I always find something to do. So
yeah.
it's like, you know what I mean? I guess that's also
Just want a
with
day off, and
age.
you have a
I don't
day
know.
off, and you just, oh man, I'm bored.
You romanticize things,
Yeah.
in many ways, but
Yeah.
traveling can also be romanticized, because
Mm,
it's not that glamorous after all, but there
yeah.
are times when it feels really special, and there's no feeling like it, when
Mm,
you're, I mean, the band name came from when me and Dave were sitting on a flight somewhere to Southeast Asia, and we were the only ones awake on the flight. Lights were off, and we're sitting there ordering Bloody Marys, whatever, and listening to great music together, and just
mm,
feeling like it's the greatest thing in the world,
mm.
and so there's a strong connection to, being in motion and maybe escaping something. And that doesn't mean that I'm quite happy with where I'm at in life,
Yeah.
and my home situation, and my family, and I feel very good about that. So I'm not trying to escape something. And I think, you know, with David, he had a lot of demons, and I think he really had to escape them in a different way than I had to. But
Yeah.
when we met, we were a bit more on the same page because I was not doing so well, and
Mm.
later I found stability, but he never did, and that just makes me so sad, you know.
Yeah. Mm. Well,
And that's probably why he's no
mm,
longer with us, you know,
mm,
and he's missed every day. So it's
yeah.
yeah.
Do
So,
you
but
feel?
it's a balance, you know, and I
Mm,
like to be in the moment, to be connected to reality, but I also like to escape it a bit. But I think for
yeah.
me, it's a bit more of a balance.
Do you feel like, in terms of David, that this is also a legacy, like part of the motivation for
Yeah,
touring and continuing with Night Flight Orchestra is an element of,
absolutely.
yeah. Mm. And what
Yeah,
bet?
it really is.
Mm.
Mm.
What better legacy can you provide someone than so many people having fun? And you mentioned, I think for my last kind of little comment here, I'll let you go because you probably talked to a bunch of us already. But I think my last little comment in terms of escapism, like, healthy escapism, unhealthy escapism, from what I've seen and heard about night flight shows, in terms of what the audience can expect, it's escapism, but it's like a thrilling escapism, right? Like
Yeah,
it's an opportunity to step into. Is that kind of like the intention behind your live shows is to offer like a grand spectacle, but also like a euphoric space for people to
yes,
boogie on down and just forget the world, have
yeah,
fun. Yep.
yeah. No, and you described it very well. You know, it's very much of in the moment, and sort of like sort of uh, or catch that sort of magical electric vibe, you know, and stay in that moment for
Mm,
uh, you know, for close to 2 hours. It's a beautiful thing, and I think we have the perfect soundtrack for it, you know,
absolutely.
and the vibe, I feel like we really connect with the crowd, and we can really see and tell that some of these songs mean so much to people, you know.
Mm. Well, I look forward to getting my derriere shaking of its own accord, whether I like it or not, when you guys jet down soon. So,
Yeah,
we're going to have details of the tour, which is coming up pretty soon, scarily soon, really.
yeah,
So, I hope that you enjoy another round of Australia, and who knows, you might even get a second Melbourne track out of us.
yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? All right. Thank you so much
Could be
for
a
your time,
tradition.
Bjorn. Yeah.
Thank you,
All
thank
right.
you, and thanks for the support.
Wonderful. Cheers, mate.
All right, all right. See you soon. Bye,
See ya.
bye.
Man, Bjorn, such a nice guy, such a cool guy. I don't even know why I was nervous. Now, just wanted to say that the blog post that will be accompanying this podcast episode is also going to have all of the tour information, ticket links, and everything else that you need for the upcoming Australian tour, which is happening quite soon. I want to give thanks to Bjorn again for being such a chill guy and so great to interview. I also want to give a shout out to John from Nuclear Blast Australia for facilitating this opportunity yet again. You're a legend, mate. There's a reason why we call him the one man army. It's the reason why that's in his email signature. I'm sure he won't listen to this, and if so, hey mate. But also, I want to give a big shout out to Hardline Media for bringing them back yet again. As you can tell, Bjorn's a guy who enjoys touring Australia, so let's make this opportunity something of a tradition for him, as he mentioned. Be sure to head to our website, innerstrengthcheckpodcast.com, where you'll find all of the tour information. As always, peace, love, and grindcore. And this time with the addition of disco, baby. All right, take it easy, guys.